I get I complain. You said you feel like you're a narcissist? That's normal when you've been dealing with us, but you're not. Because a real narcissist saying that, self reflected, we know. You feel me? How could I complain? Practically, I'm famous on cash shoes, everything going around me. Never for your love. YouTube was good. Gotta make sure y'all can hear me. Y'all can hear me, YouTube? You feel me? We here. Come on. Play. Make sure y'all tap the screen, man. Class about to be in session, man. You feel me? Masterclass. We got a masterclass. Lock in. What's up, Queen? The Medicana, the Dark Empath. One of my favorite Dark Empaths. I love you because you healing. Shout out to you. You feel me? You remind me of Emily, you feel me? I be scared of nigga, man. No cap. It's something about that dark empath. Dark empath. It's something about y'all. Man. No cap. How could I complain? Practically I'm famous. Are y'all ready to start the masterclass? You feel me? So I'm talking about her right there. AK. She know who I'm talking to. She's student though, like she a dark empath, like she a student of the game. You feel me? Like she in the school community, CTU. You feel me? She one of them ones who like she don't play about her healing type shit. I love the fact we don't play about y'all healing, man. Okay. I ain't gonna lie. Alright, y'all see. I told y'all tonight. Well, today, shit, I don't know what time is it, y'all know we be on live wherever. But today's masterclass, we got two masterclass today, right? But this one, first one, got the first lesson is how narcissists. Y'all see what's on the screen? Conditioning. How narcissistic conditioning rewrites your identity and why you mistook it for hold on, let me make sure it's the right one. It's how narcissist conditioning rewrites your identity. Okay? That's the one we're gonna do first. Cause we got so much. Alright. If y'all want this one, put a Christmas tree, man. Y'all know I'm gonna break this shit down. You feel me? This is how narcissistic conditioning rewrites your reality, okay? That's chapter one, okay? I'm chapter one. Alright. YouTube, y'all can hear me? We straight? Could y'all hear me? I gotta make sure. Once we good on YouTube, then we gonna start, y'all. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Make sure they give me the green light. Right. Y'all hear me on YouTube? You know we're gonna break this shit down like a you. You came here from YouTube? Go back on YouTube, Protege. Let me know if you can hear me on YouTube. We're gonna break this shit down like a Christmas tree. You feel me, AK? My favorite dark empire. Hey, y'all ready for this shit? I don't think y'all heard this before. No cap. YouTube, y'all hear it, nigga? One more time, and then we gonna start. All right, put a Christmas tree. Y'all know I need a Christmas tree. Not yes. You feel me? That don't regulate my nervous system. You feel me? I need a Christmas tree. Okay. Every day is Christmas for us. You feel me? There we go. There we go. Now my nervous system getting regulated. Y'all ready? Told y'all we need to be regulated, man. Somehow, some way. Y'all think this shit a game? All right, y'all. Class in session. Let's get it. While I'm talking TikTok, I need y'all to tap the screen. Make sure y'all follow me and share the live. All right, so they won't ban us and flag us. All right. Class is about to be in session. This masterclass is y'all gonna love this one. All right. So pay attention to stay with me, okay? We locked in now. Look, this is chapter 1. How narcissistic conditioning rewrites your reality, okay? Listen carefully, y'all. What you experienced was not a bad relationship, okay? It was not manipulation. Like it was not. I'm gonna say it was not just manipulation, okay? It was manipulation. It wasn't just manipulation. It was not just emotional abuse. Like I said, it was conditioning. Okay? It's conditioning. This is what you was going through. It was conditioning, okay? And conditioning does not change who you are by force. It changes which parts of you are allowed to exist, okay? As a narcissist, we don't walk into your life and attack your identity head on. No. That would trigger your defenses. That would wake you up. Instead, we do something far more effective. We reward certain versions of you and quietly punish others. You hear me? I said we reward certain versions of you and quietly punish others. And over time, your identity begins to recognize itself around survival. Let me explain how this really happens, okay? See, when we first meet you, we are not asking ourselves if you are the one. No. We are assessing how emotionally adaptable that you are. You get what I'm saying? That's what we're doing. We pay attention to how you respond to attention, how you respond to silence, how you respond to being misunderstood, how you respond to inconsistency. You know what I'm saying? We are not listening to your words as much as we are watching your nervous system. You feel me? I want y'all don't let that go over your head, okay? I'm gonna say it again. Alright? We pay attention to how you respond to attention, how you respond to silence, how you respond to being misunderstood, how you respond to inconsistency. We are not listening to your words as much as we are watching your nervous system, okay? Because identity is not just personality. Identity is how your nervous system decides what is safe. That's what identity is. It's how your nervous system decides what is safe. That's the entry point, okay? At first, we offer more presence and emotional attunement, not necessarily love bombing, just enough to make your body relax. You feel relief. You feel seen. You feel chosen. You know what I'm saying? Your nervous system logs that feeling as safety. You know what I'm saying? See, and then something subtle changes. We pull back slightly. We delay responses. We change tone. We become less predictable. Nothing extreme, nothing obvious. You know what I'm saying? Just enough to create uncertainty. Now your nervous system starts scanning. And here's the critical moment, see. Instead of asking, why are they changing, you ask, what should I do differently? That question is the beginning of identity rewrite, okay? That's the beginning of identity rewrite. From that moment on, Your sense of self starts adjusting in response to emotional consequences. When you're calm, things feel better. When you are accommodating, connection returns. When you ask for less, tension drops. When you suppress your intuition, the relationship stabilizes. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Yeah, y'all hear me on YouTube still? We good? Alright. So y'all gotta understand your body learns the rules before your mind ever does. So you start editing yourself. You soften your reactions. You delay your needs. You choose understanding over truth. You prioritize peace over self expression. You know what I'm saying? Not because you're weak though. It's because your nervous system is trying to stay regulated. You feel me? This is the part people misunderstand, y'all. See, you didn't change because we told you to. You changed because being yourself started to feel unsafe. And once authenticity carries emotional consequences, identity becomes conditional. Okay? See, here's the most dangerous part of conditioning, y'all. We reflect this new version of you back to yourself and call it growth. We say you matured. You're calmer now. You don't react like you used to. You change in a good way. See, so now you're just adapting. You're protecting the adaptation. You know what I'm saying? Literally, you're protecting the adaptation. You see, you start believing the version of you that survives us and the real you. Meanwhile, your inner voice is getting quieter. Your instincts are being second guessed. Your reactions are being filtered. Your memories are being reinterpreted. And eventually, something fundamental shifts. You stop asking, what do I feel? And you start asking, how would this be received? See, that is not emotional intelligence. That is identity displacement, okay? Identity displacement, y'all. Okay? And look, by the time you realize something is wrong, the rewrite has already happened. And this is why leaving feels so disorienting. Because when a relationship ends, it's not just the person that disappears, y'all. The version of you that was built to survive the relationship collapses too. People call that heartbreak, y'all. It's not heartbreak. It's called identity withdrawal. Put that in the comments. I'm telling y'all. Remember that word, psychology. Y'all gotta look up. That's what y'all go through. Identity withdrawal, y'all. Your nervous system was trained to exist in a specific emotional environment. When the environment disappears, your body doesn't know how, like, who to be. So you feel empty. You feel lost. You feel unanchored. You feel confused. Not because you lost love, though, but because you lost the role. You know what I'm saying? And here's what I need you to hear clearly. See, that version of you was never meant to be permanent. It was built for survival, not truth. Okay? Now, in the next chapter, y'all, I'm going to explain how we anchor this conditioned identity into your nervous system and why even after we're gone, you still feel like you're losing yourself. Y'all want this chapter? Put a Christmas tree. You feel me? Before I move on, I want you to notice something, y'all. This already feels uncomfortable or quiet inside you. It's because this isn't entertainment. It's recognition, okay? Chapter 2 explains why your body stayed even when your mind knew better, okay? Okay. I'm telling y'all. You want that chapter 2? Christmas tree? Mm. You two, y'all still can hear me? Now, y'all, look, this is chapter 2. How we anchor. Make sure y'all tap that screen, y'all, while I'm talking, please. Tap, 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 and share the live repost. Alright? I'm going to give y'all this free game. Remember, they're trying to get us out of here. So, this is chapter 2. How we anchor the new identity into your nervous system, okay? If chapter 1, listen, if chapter 1 showed you how your identity started shifting, and this chapter explains why it became hard to stop, okay? Now, This is where people get confused and start blaming themselves. They say, I knew it was wrong. I saw the red flags. I saw it. I understood what was happening. And yet they still stayed. That's because narcissistic conditioning does not operate at the level of logic. You know what I'm saying? It operates at the level of nervous system. You hear me? Not logic. It operates the level of nervous system. Okay? As narcissists, we don't need to convince your mind. You feel me? We only need to train your body. Because once your body learns where safety and relief come from, your identity recognizes around that source automatically. All the psychology I'm trying to tell you. So here's the truth. Most people don't understand. See, your nervous system is not designed to seek truth, okay? It's designed to seek regulation. And guess what? We exploit that. We exploit that at all costs. You feel me? Listen, in the early stage, we give you something your body recognizes instantly, and that's called relief. You feel calmer around us, more focused, less scattered, less alone. You know what I'm saying? For many of you, especially those who grew up in chaos, inconsistency, or emotional neglect, that relief feels rare. So your body logs us as a regulator, not a partner, y'all, a regulator. And then we introduce subtle dysregulation. We pull back slightly. We delay responses. We become inconsistent. We shift energy without explanation. Now your nervous system enters alert mode. You feel, and then you know what I'm saying? Now you feel unsettled. You know what I'm saying? Restless, anxious. You replay conversations. You know what I'm saying? You wonder what changed. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? See, here's the dangerous part of it though, y'all. Instead of seeing the inconsistency as a warning, your body sees it as a problem to solve, y'all. Why? Because your system already associates us with relief. So your nervous system believes if I can get back to that earlier state, everything will be okay. This is how conditioning deepens. You know what I'm saying? Your body starts adjusting before your mind makes a decision. You soften your tone. You ask fewer questions. You delay confrontation. You will explain yourself more. You minimize what you feel. Not consciously though, instinctively. You know what I'm saying? Because your body is trying to restore regulation. This is why people say, I don't know why I kept changing myself. I felt like I was walking on eggshells. I stopped being myself. You weren't becoming smaller because you were weak. You were becoming more adaptive. You feel me? You was becoming more adaptive. That's it. You know what I'm saying? That's survival intelligence, okay? Now, narcissistic systems feed on adaptive people, y'all. Here's another layer people talk about. Once your nervous system bonds to us, even silence becomes communication, y'all. Our absence creates tension. Our attention creates relief. Our approval creates calm. Our withdrawal creates anxiety. You get what I'm saying? So when we return, even briefly, your body releases chemicals. Dopamine, oxytocin, relief. Your mind interprets that chemical relief as love. You get what I'm saying? But it's not love, y'all. It's called intermittent regulation. And intermittent regulation is one of the strongest conditioning mechanisms that exists. Intermittent regulation. Y'all don't forget that word. Man. That's why the version of you that emerges is quieter, is more careful, more self-monitoring, more accommodating, more patient than you ever been. Not because you lost yourself, it's because your body learned which version of you keeps the system stable. This is also why leaving feels so disorienting because people expect freedom to feel empowering like immediately. No, no, no. Freedom is not gonna feel empowering immediately. You understand that, but when you leave a narcissistic system, your nervous system panics. Not because you lost a person, it's because you lost a regulator. So you feel anxious, foggy, detached from yourself, emotionally like raw. And this is where many people relapse. They think going back will fix the pain, but the pain is not from separation, it's from withdrawal. You get what I'm saying? See, your nervous system is recalibrated after prolonged conditioning. You know what I'm saying? And here's the most important truth of this chapter, y'all. The, the version of you that emerged in the relationship was not broken, it was trained. And anything that is trained can be untrained. But the untraining process feels uncomfortable at first because your body has to learn safety without external regulation, okay? In the next chapter, I'm going to explain like how we convince you that this conditioned version of yourself is growth and why you defended it even when it was costing you your identity. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, I want that put the Christmas tree, y'all. Listen, no, y'all gotta notice how none of this required force, y'all. It only required repetition. I'm telling y'all, man. Chapter 3 explains why you mistook conditioning for growth and why letting it go felt like losing power. You get what I'm saying? I want that chapter 3. Yeah. Alright, y'all. Chapter 3. Look, this is. Make sure y'all tap the screen, y'all. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok. YouTube, like the live one time so y'all push it. I gotta like it on YouTube once. You feel me? And TikTok, y'all gotta keep tapping the screen. Alright. I'm about to break this shit down. This is chapter 3, y'all. Why you mistook conditioning for growth. Okay? That's what this chapter called. Chapter 3 is why you mistook conditioning for growth. Alright? Listen to this. Alright? Now, see. You went through this in 2023. Listen, y'all. This is why you took conditioning for growth. Why you mistook conditioning for growth, okay? This chapter explains the most dangerous illusion in narcissistic conditioning. You hear me? The reason you stayed wasn't because you didn't see the damage. It's because the damage was labeled as growth. And once suffering is reframed as maturity, people were protected. You feel me? Let me explain how we do that. See, as a narcissist, we don't tell you directly to shrink. We redefine. We literally redefine what better looks like. Okay, we subtly introduce a new standard of growth that just happens to benefit us. Growth becomes this. Growth becomes being calmer when you're hurt, being quieter when you're disrespected, being understanding when you're confused, being patient when your needs are ignored, being mature when something feels wrong. So every time you suppress a reaction, we reward it. Not with consistency, not with safety, but with approval. We say things like, oh, you're different now. You change. You're more evolved. You don't react like you used to. See, those words are powerful because they don't attack you. They elevate the adaptation. You know what I'm saying? And once adaptation is praised, it becomes identity. Here's the trap though. You don't feel like you're losing yourself. You feel like you're becoming a better version of yourself. That's why you defend the changes. You know what I'm saying? You say, I'm just more mature now. I don't let things bother me. I've grown a lot. You know what I'm saying? But what you're actually describing is emotional compression. You didn't become wiser, you became quieter. You didn't become more regulated, you became more contained. And containment feels like control when chaos used to be your baseline. You know what I'm saying? So here's another layer people don't talk about. We compare your old self to your conditioned self. We subtly frame the old you as too emotional, too reactive, too sensitive, too intense. So when you feel the urge to speak up, confront, or assert yourself, your own mind stops you. Not because we told you to, because you don't want to, go backwards. You know what I'm saying? That's when conditioning is complete, y'all. Okay? Your growth narrative becomes a leash. And here's the most dangerous part. You start associating pain with progress. If it hurts, you assume it's growth. If it feels uncomfortable, you assume it's maturity. If it costs you something internally, you assume it's healing. So when your intuition screams, you override it. You tell yourself, this is part of the process. I'm just learning. I need to be better. And the version of you that would have left early no longer has authority. You get what I'm saying? Now, let's talk about why letting go of this version feels terrifying. You get what I'm saying? See, because the conditioned version of you is the one that survived, the version that kept the connection, the version that minimized conflict, the version that absorbs discomfort, the version that made the relationship function. You know what I'm saying? So releasing it feels like undoing progress. You think, if I let this go, if I lose everything I learned, but that's not love. You didn't learn boundaries, you learned suppression. You didn't learn patience, you learned tolerance of instability. You didn't learn emotional intelligence, you learned self abandonment with a spiritual label. You get what I'm saying? Real growth expands identity, conditioning narrows it. You get what I'm saying? And here's how you can tell the difference. Growth gives you more access to yourself. Conditioning makes you monitor yourself. Growth increases clarity. You know what I'm saying? Conditioning increases caution. Growth brings alignment. Conditioning brings silence. If your growth requires you to disappear emotionally, it wasn't growth. It was adaptation inside a system that could not tolerate your full presence. You know what I'm saying? See, in the next chapter, I'm going to explain how we turn this conditioned version of you into your new baseline, and why even after the relationship ends, you still feel like something inside you is missing. Okay? This chapter is where most people finally understand why healing feels empty before it feels free. You get what I'm saying? Y'all want this chapter? Put a Christmas tree. Look, y'all, notice how none of this sounds abusive on the surface, y'all. Y'all hear what I'm saying to y'all, though, right? Y'all hear how I'm saying? The psychology, none of it sounds abusive on surface, right? That's why it worked. This is why it worked, okay? Okay? Chapter 4 explain why this version of you follow even after the relationship ended, okay? I'm telling y'all, this is why it worked, because it don't sound crazy. It don't sound bad, but that's why trauma bonds work. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all, bro. Y'all want chapter 4, put a Christmas tree. Yeah, this is psychology behind it. Like, it's not like, it's not just the evil words. Now, this is chapter 4, y'all. Why the conditioned version of you followed you after the relationship, okay? Why the conditioned version of you followed you after the relationship, okay? This chapter answers a question most people are ashamed to ask. Is, if I left, why do I still feel stuck, okay? The answer is uncomfortable, okay? Because the relationship didn't end the system. It only removed the person. The system was already installed inside of you. Let me explain what that means, okay? See, when narcissistic conditioning runs long enough, it doesn't just shape behavior, it creates an internal authority. You hear me? Internal authority. At some point, we don't need to be present anymore. You feel me? You already know when to stay. Listen, you literally already know when to stay quiet, when to soften your tone, when to doubt yourself, when to delay your needs, when to override your instincts. That's why leaving feels confusing instead of freeing. You expected distance to restore you, but distance only removed the stimulus. The pattern stayed. Okay? Here's the truth most people miss. Your nervous system does not recognize freedom immediately. It recognizes familiarity, okay? And the conditioned version of you is familiar. It knows how to stay composed. It knows how to suppress emotion. It knows how to self-regulate through control. It knows how to survive instability. So when the relationship ends, that version does not disappear. It becomes a default. You start noticing it elsewhere. You get what I'm saying? In new connections, at work, with friends, family, even alone. You hesitate before speaking. You second guess your reactions. You explain yourself unnecessarily. You feel guilty for having needs. You feel uncomfortable for being fully relaxed. And you ask yourself, why am I still like this? It's because identity conditioning doesn't require proximity, it requires repetition. And the repetition already happened. Here's where people get trapped. This is where people get trapped. They think the goal is to go back to who they were before, but that version of you doesn't exist anymore. And trying to resurrect it creates frustration, okay? You feel broken. You feel impatient with yourself. You feel like healing isn't working. But healing is not about reversal, y'all. It's about integration. Let me say that clearly. You don't delete the survival version of you, you reassign it, okay? You reassign it. You reassign it, okay? Listen, that version learned skills, awareness, pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, and self control. But it was running the wrong role. It was leading instead of supporting. This is where most people get stuck. They confuse awareness with healing. They understand what happened. They can name the behavior. They can explain the psychology, but their body is still operating under the old rules. So they stay hyper vigilant, hyper analytical, emotionally guarded. You get what I'm saying? And disconnected from ease. You get what I'm saying? See, awareness without nervous system, recalibration keeps the system alive. That's why people say this. I understand everything now, but I still feel off. See, understanding doesn't rewrite identity, experience does. And here's the most important part of this chapter, y'all. The conditioned version of you does not trust peace because peace feels like a loss of control. In the relationship, control means safety. You hear me? In the relationship, control meant safety, predictability, preparedness. You feel me? So when things are calm, your body waits for drops. It waits for the drop, not the intuition. That's conditioning, okay? And if you don't address it, you recreate familiar dynamics. Not because you want to, it's because your nervous system recognizes them as home. You get what I'm saying? This is where like people say, this is why they be saying like I keep attracting the same type of people. I be coming in my life every day saying this. I don't know why I keep attracting. Listen, you're not attracting them. You're allowing what feels familiar. Okay? The exit does not come from cutting people off harder. It comes from changing what your body associates with safety. And that is uncomfortable at first because healing feels empty before it feels peaceful, quiet before it feels grounded, and stillness before it feels secure. In this next chapter, y'all, I'm going to explain why that emptiness scares people back into familiar pain and how narcissistic systems exploit that fear to pull you back in. This is where most relapses happen, okay? Y'all ready for this? Put a Christmas tree. I'm telling y'all, if you ever left and still felt trapped inside yourself, this chapter just told you why. Chapter 5 explains why emptiness feels worse than chaos at first and how we use that against you, okay? Took it to Miami. Listen, listen, listen. I love Miami. Ah. Hey, y'all, make sure y'all tap the screen. Let's get 50K. We should try to get 50K, y'all. 50K, 50K, 50K. Just to go crazy. Tap that motherfucker. Alright. YouTube, y'all can hear me? TikTok, y'all hear me? Make sure y'all can hear me. Alright. Now, look, this is chapter 5, y'all. Why emptiness feels worse than chaos and how we use that against you, okay? You feel me? Why emptiness feels worse than chaos and how we use that against you. This chapter explains something most people never admit out loud, okay? You didn't go back because you missed us, okay? You went back because emptiness scared you more than pain, okay? I'm gonna say it again. You went back because emptiness scared you more than pain. Let me explain why that happens, see? Okay? After narcissistic conditioning, your nervous system has been trained on intensity, high emotion, high alert, high meaning, high stakes. Even when it hurt, it kept your system engaged. Chaos feels familiar when your body learned to survive inside it. Okay? So when a narcissist, like like when a relationship ends with a narcissist, when the relationship ends things and things go quiet, your nervous system does not interpret that as peace. It interprets that as danger. Not because something is wrong, but because there's no stimulation to orient around. You feel me? You hear me? When you and that narcissist end things and a relationship go quiet, your nervous system does not interpret that as peace. It's not used to that. It interprets that as danger. But not because something is wrong, it's because there's no stimulation to orient around. This is where most people get confused. See, they say, I feel numb. I feel empty. I feel disconnected. I don't feel like myself. And they assume that means they are healing wrong. No, they're not. They are detoxing. But detox does not feel good at first because your nervous system is coming off a system that provided constant emotional activation. Let me be clear, man. That emptiness you feel after leaving is not absence of love, it's absence of adrenaline. You feel me? Your body was trained to feel alive through emotional spikes. So when the spikes stop, everything feels flat. That is where narcissistic systems regain power. Because we know this part, y'all. We know silence makes you uneasy. We know calm feels unboring. We know stillness feels like a loss. So when we enter the exact moment emptiness peaks, not loud, not dramatic, subtle, like a message, a memory, a reminder, a soft check-in, a crisis, a moment of vulnerability. And suddenly your body lights up again. Your heart races, your mind engages, your emotions activate. And you mistake that activation for connection. You say, I still feel something. Maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe I just need closure. But what you're actually feeling is nervous system stimulation, not love, okay? See, chaos feels like relief when emptiness feels unbearable. That's why people relapse emotionally. Not because they are weak, but because they were never taught how to tolerate calm. See, here's the part people don't like hearing. Emptiness is not a problem to solve. It is a transition state. A transition state. It is your nervous system learning to exist without constant threat. But narcissistic conditioning teaches you that emptiness means something is wrong. So you rush to fill it with old connections, new distractions, new relationships, overworking, overthinking, self blame, anything but stillness. Anything but stillness. And this is where the system keeps running even without us. You recreate chaos. You seek intensity. You question your decision. You romanticize the past. And if we show up during that moment, it feels like relief. Okay? This is why the Hoover works best after silence, not during conflict. Now, here's the most important part of this chapter, y'all. If you can sit in emptiness without acting, without feeling it, without numbing it, something shifts. Your nervous system recalibrates. Calm stop feeling dangerous. Silence stops feeling loud. And peace stops feeling boring. And once that happens, I'm telling you, chaos loses its pull, y'all. This is the point narcissistic systems cannot survive because we rely on your intolerance of stillness. We rely on your urge to resolve discomfort externally. Once you can tolerate emptiness, you become unreachable. Not emotionally cold, not guarded, stable. And stability is incompatible with narcissistic dynamics. Okay? In the next chapter, I'm going to explain how we deliberately keep things unresolved to prevent destabilization, y'all. And why closure is the last thing narcissistic systems want you to have. This is where everything starts to make sense. Y'all ready for this? Put a Christmas tree. If calm feels uncomfortable right now, that doesn't mean you're broken. It means your nervous system is learning a new language. Chapter 6 explains why we never wanted you to have closure. Okay? Took it to Cali. Listen, listen, listen. I love Miami. She don't wanna go no more. Man, make sure y'all tap the screen, follow me. You feel me? Shout out to I see a lot of y'all new people coming in. Are y'all ready? Now, this is chapter 6, y'all. Why we keep things unresolved and how that keeps you emotionally accessible. Okay? Why we keep things unresolved and how that keeps you emotionally accessible. This chapter is where most people finally stop blaming themselves, okay? Because once you understand this, you realize something important. You weren't confused because you lacked clarity. You were confused because clarity was intentionally delayed. You know what I'm saying? Narcissistic systems do not survive closure. They survive open loops. Let me explain, see. The human nervous system is wired to complete patterns, okay? When something ends clearly, emotionally, like the system discharges energy and moves on. When something ends ambiguously, the system stays activated, okay? Hope lingers, questions loop, meaning is unfinished, attention stays engaged. As narcissists, we instinctively understand this, so we don't end things cleanly, no. This is what we do. We disappear mid-conversation. We promise change without timelines. We apologize without accountability. We leave doors cracked open. We say, maybe later. We say, I'm not ready. We say, right now isn't the time. You know what I'm saying? That ambiguity is not confusion. It's not confusion, y'all. It's called access preservation. It's access preservation. Because as long as you are seeking closure, you are still connected. You are still thinking. You still analyzing. Still replaying. Still waiting. And while you are doing that internally, we do not have to be present. Your mind keeps us alive for us. This is why people say, I just want one last conversation. I need answers. I need to understand why. See, what you are actually wanting is completion, not explanation, okay? But completion removes leverage. So instead of closure, we give you fragments. Moments that almost made sense. Apologies that almost felt real. Vulnerability that almost landed. Plans that almost happened. Okay? Almost as powerful almost keeps the system running. Here's another layer people miss. Unresolved endings allow us to rewrite the story later. You know that? If nothing was finalized, we can return to reframe. We can minimize. We can interpret. We can say you misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? We can say you were emotional. We can say things change. Ambiguity gives us narrative flexibility, okay? And narcissists survive through narrative control. See, that's also why some of you feel worse after conversation with us, because conversations don't close the loop, they reopen it. I told y'all. You talk to us again, you're going to be drained again. See, you feel temporary relief, then more confused. That is not accidental. Relief without resolution keeps you emotionally dependent. See, now here's the most important part of this chapter. Closure does not come from the person who benefited from your confusion. Waiting for them to clarify is waiting inside the system. Real closure is an internal decision to stop seeking meaning from someone who disordered it, okay? That is uncomfortable, but because it means accepting unanswered questions, accepting unfinished sentences, accepting that some things never make sense, accepting that intention does not equal impact. But once you stop seeking closure externally, something shifts, okay? The loop weakens, the urgency drops, the nervous system begins to settle. That is when detachment becomes real. Not cold, not angry, not bitter, complete. This is why narcissistic systems fight closure, because closure equals release. Release equals loss of access, and loss of access is what we cannot tolerate. In the next chapter, I'm going to explain why narcissists return, escalate, or disappear once they feel the access is slipping, and how to recognize the difference between a genuine shift and the system trying to repair itself. This chapter explains Hoovers from the inside, okay? Y'all want that? Put a Christmas tree. If you've been waiting for one last conversation, this chapter just explains why that kept you stuck, okay? Chapter 7 breaks down what actually triggers a narcissist to come back. You feel me? Make sure y'all tap the screen though, you feel me? Oh, shit. Trigger the Cali. You say you like breaking patterns to keep them guessing? Mm-hmm. Break they motherfucking pattern. Y'all better leave us alone. Don't deal with us. My advice is to leave us the fuck alone and stay away from us. We dangerous. We should be locked up in a cage. The shit I was doing, man, like, man, I did this shit you couldn't imagine. Now listen, y'all. This is chapter 7, okay? See, why we return, escalate, or disappear when we feel the assets slipping, okay? Y'all ready for this? Put a Christmas tree. Y'all be putting the wrong tree. Y'all gotta put a Christmas tree, bro. That don't regulate my nervous system. I need the Christmas tree, not that regular tree. Y'all be putting the regular tree, not that regular shit, man. We need a Christmas tree. You feel me? What's up with y'all, man? Fix that tree, you heard? Alright, there we go. Now, so we do. Chapter 7, y'all. This is chapter 7. Okay? Why we return, escalate, or disappear when we feel access is slipping, okay? See, this chapter is where people stop romanticizing the return. Because Once you understand this, the question changes from do they still care to what system just got activated. Let me be clear, okay? Narcissists do not come back because of love like the way healthy people do, okay? I'm gonna say it again. Narcissists do not come back because of love the way healthy people do. Okay? We come back because something destabilized. Not you leaving, not you blocking, not you being angry. What destabilizes us is loss of emotional access or loss of control. That's what destabilizes us. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? As long as you are emotionally reachable, even in pain, the system still works. You're thinking about us. You're reacting. You're explaining. You're watching. You're hoping. That means we still exist inside your nervous system. But the moment your emotional energy withdraws, something happens internally for us. We feel it before we understand it. Restlessness, irritation, emptiness, loss of orientation. This is the part people misunderstand. Silence does not bother us at first. In the beginning, silence feels like relief. No accountability, no reflection, no emotional labor. But silence without access eventually turns into exposure. You hear me? I said silence without access. Because without your reactions, we are left alone with ourselves. You get what I'm saying? And narcissistic structures are not built for that. So the system looks for repair. That repair attempt shows up in three main ways. Return, y'all. A return is not a reunion, okay? A return is not a reunion, okay? It's a test. We reach out softly. We reminisce. We express vulnerability. We apologize just enough. We act reflective. Not because we change, but because we are checking everything. We checking something like, can we still activate you? If you explain, if you soften, if you engage emotionally, if you re-engage emotionally, if you like seek understanding, the system confirms access. Once access is confirmed, the urgency drops, consistency fades, effort declines, old patterns return, okay? Because the goal was never connection, y'all. It was regulation, okay? We don't know how to connect. It's regulation. I told you I need to be regulated at all times. Like I said, that's the first thing that happens. Return now is escalation. Escalation happens when the return fails. If you stay calm, if you stay boundary, if you stay neutral, then the system panics. So intensity increases, more emotion, y'all, more pressure, more guilt, more urgency, more chaos. This can look like this: anger, victimhood, crisis, blame, spiritual language, health scares, sudden declarations of love, okay? Escalation is not passion, okay? Escalation is not passion. You hear me? It is desperation to regain control, okay? Don't forget that, y'all. Now, the next thing is disappear. Like I said return, escalation. Now, the next one is disappearance, okay? Y'all with me? It's a masterclass, okay? I want y'all to follow me. Disappearance is the final defense, okay? When return fails and escalation doesn't work, we detach. Not because we healed, it's because staying would mean confronting helplessness. So we disappear. We move on quickly, new supply. We attach somewhere else. We rewrite the narrative. This protects the ego. It allows us to say they didn't matter. It allows us to say it wasn't that deep. It allows us to say, I'm fine, okay? But here's the truth. Disappearance does not mean resolution. It means avoidance, okay? When we disappear, it's avoided. Ain't shit resolved around here, okay? Here's the part I need you to hear clearly, okay? None of these behaviors are about you, okay? They're about system preservation. Your job is not to decode which one you're seeing. Your job is to notice what happens inside you when they appear. Do you feel activated, pulled, confused, hopeful, unsettled? That tells you the system is still alive. The moment you can observe their behavior without internal movement, the system collapses, okay? Because narcissistic dynamics cannot survive without emotional responses, y'all. Okay? In this final chapter, I'm going to explain what actually happens inside a narcissist when you fully detach and why indifference is the only true exit, okay? This is the chapter that integrates everything, okay? If they came back, escalated, or vanished, this chapter just told you why, y'all. Chapter 8 explains what happens when you finally become unreachable. Y'all want this chapter? Put a Christmas tree. You ain't believing me. Took it to Miami. Listen, listen, listen. I love Miami. Alright, chapter 8, y'all. Listen. Lock in. YouTube, y'all can hear me? Yeah. This is what actually happens when you become unreachable, okay? This is the part most people never get to understand because by the time it happens, you're usually gone, okay? I ain't gonna lie, usually gone, feel me? When you fully detach, you gotta understand, like, when you fully detach from a narcissistic system, I told you it's a system. It's not a relationship, y'all. We replaced that word relationship with system. All my followers who watch me daily, don't y'all gotta start telling these people, man, the new people, the new empaths and stuff. This is a system. This ain't a relationship. Y'all been through it. Y'all know. All right, this I'm giving y'all advanced game. All right. So when y'all hear them talk about relationship and shit, y'all need to correct them. All right. Now look, like I said, this what actually happens when you become unreachable. Okay. See, this is the part most people never get to understand. Okay. Listen, because by the time this happens, you're usually gone. When you fully tap from a narcissistic system, something very specific happens, y'all. And it's not what people imagine. It's not regret the way you hope. It's not sudden clarity. It's not some dramatic realization, y'all. It is exposure. It's exposure, okay? It is exposure, okay? Listen, let me explain that carefully. As long as you're emotionally responsive, even in pain, anger, confusion, or longing, guess what? The system still has orientation. We know where we stand. We know how to provoke. We know how to pull. We know how to regulate. Okay? Your reactions give the system shape. But when you detach fully, something unsettling happens. There is no emotional signal coming back, no charge, no urgency, no explanation, no feedback. And for narcissistic structure, that feels like falling through fucking space. Because here's the truth most people don't hear. Narcissists do not have a stable internal self the way healthy people do. We stabilize through external reflection, through reactions, through validation, through attention, through emotional movement. When that reflection disappears, the illusion collapses. And what's left is not peace, it's emptiness, it's shame, disorientation, loss of the narrative, loss of identity, loss of control. That's why indifference is not just effective, it's intolerable. You're no longer opposing us. You're no longer defending. You're no longer explaining. You're no longer reacting. You're not fighting. You're not forgiving. You're just simply absent. And absence removes function. That's when the system breaks. Some narcissists try one last reach. Some escalate. Some smear. Some detach abruptly. Some attach elsewhere immediately. They gonna go to another supply quick. But all of those responses come from the same place, y'all. Is loss of regulation. Okay? Your indifference is not cruelty. It's not avoid. It's not punishment. It's self restoration. It's you choosing to stop participating in a system that requires you to abandon yourself. When you detach, you stop feeding an internalized voice. You stop replaying loops. You stop seeking meaning from someone who disoriented. You know what I'm saying? Your nervous system begin to reorient around you again. And this is where people get confused. It doesn't feel erotic at first. It's not good. It don't feel good. It feels quiet. It feels empty. It feels still. It feels uneventful. Okay? Like, because intensity trains your body to equate chaos with connection, okay? That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong, okay? I want you to understand peace feels unfamiliar before it feels safe, okay? Peace feels unfamiliar before it feels safe. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It means you're recalibrating. This is the moment the real you begins to reemerge. Not louder, not dramatic, and not reactive. Just clear, grounded, and unavailable to manipulation. You feel me? And here's the most important part of this entire lesson, y'all. You didn't lose yourself in a relationship. You adapted to survive it. And the adaptation can be released. That's power, see. Everything I gave you tonight was recognition. Recognition is powerful, y'all. But recognition alone doesn't rewire the nervous system. Structure does. You know what I'm saying? And the masterclass goes deeper, chapter by chapter. No chaos, no guessing, no looping, y'all. If this lesson named something you couldn't explain, the masterclass is where we dismantle it properly, y'all. No pressure, no chasing. Alignment. Look, how y'all like that? That was light. That was light. I hope y'all learned something from that though, for real. Shit is a system, man. No cap. Took it to Miami. Listen, listen, listen. I love Miami. Oh shit. You said I got so quiet. I had to take a sip. You feel me, sis? I'm good. You feel me? My throat was dry as shit. On my mama. You feel me? I'm about to I'm about to give y'all another masterclass. I told y'all it's two masterclasses. So if y'all here, y'all I'm about to give y'all another one, okay? This masterclass, this about to do it's part two. This was the second lesson, okay? This is why narcissists return, escalate. Hold on, I'm about to change it. Look, watch the screen. I'm about to go into this motherfucker. There you go. Boom. It's like magic. It said, y'all see what's on the screen? Did it change for y'all? Mm-mm. Why narcissists return, escalate, or disappear? You feel me? Y'all ready for this? Y'all ready for this? For Christmas. Make sure y'all tap that screen too. Took it to Miami. I love Miami. She don't wanna go no more. Mm-hmm. It says, why narcissists return, escalate, disappear. This one got like, I think 9 chapters, same amount of chapters. I think they both got the same amount of chapters. She don't wanna go no more. Mm-mm-mm-mm. They never really. They find someone new to terror. Yeah, we do. We can't sit alone. We always need somebody to regulate our nervous system. That's how we operate. You're right. The system, y'all. It's a system. Yeah, I get it. It's not a relationship. When you think it, I told y'all, say system. Replace that word relationship with system. You in the system. Feel me? Alright, y'all ready for this? Look, cause most people, look, this is why the system reacts before you even leave, okay? This chapter 1. Why the system reacts before you even leave. I'm going to start with something that's uncomfortable but true, okay? Most of y'all think narcissists react to your actions. We don't. We react to shifts in internal leverage. You don't actually have to leave for the system to activate. You don't have to block. You don't have to confront. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? Listen, I want y'all to understand. See, sometimes all you do is change internally, and the system feels it before you say a word. Here's what nobody talks about, okay? A narcissistic system does not track your behavior the way you think, y'all. It tracks orientation, okay? Orientation means this. Where is your attention pointed? Where is your emotional center located? Who are you organized around? When you were bonded, your orientation was outward towards us. Even when you were angry, even when you were hurt, even when you were silent. See, you were still psychologically facing the system. That's why arguments felt intense but also intimate. You know what I'm saying? That's why pain felt connected. You get what I'm saying? Now, here's the moment everything changes. The system does not panic when you fight. The system panics when you recenter. You get what I'm saying? The system does not panic when you fight. The system panics when you're center. You hear me? When you're the center. Only when you're the center, okay? I want y'all to make sure y'all heard that. Okay? When your inner dialogue shifts from What does this mean about me? To I'm watching this from the outside now. That moment is not visible, but it is felt because the system loses predictable power. And narcissistic systems survive on prediction. Okay? What the system needs to feel safe. Okay, I'm about to tell you what the system needs to feel safe. This is the part nobody explains. A narcissistic system requires three invisible confirmations. Number one is you are still emotionally readable. Number two, you are still psychologically reachable. And number three, you still locate meaning through us. The moment any of those weaken, the system reacts automatically, not consciously, reflectively. That reflex is what you experience as return, escalation, or disappearance. But those are not choices. Those are defensive movements, okay? You know what I'm saying? This shit get dark. Listen, return is not about you coming back, okay? Return is not about you coming back. It's about us coming back online. You feel me? That's what we return for. We got to come back online. You know what I'm saying? When a narcissist returns, it's usually after a quiet internal shift on your end. You stop over explaining. You stop narrating your feelings. You stop trying to be understood. That silence is not neutral. It collapses the narcissist's internal map of you. You feel me? So the return is an attempt to resync the map. That's why the timing feels eerie. Like you didn't post anything. You didn't reach out. You know what I'm saying? You didn't signal availability. You know what I'm saying? But the system noticed something was missing. Not your presence, your orientation. The return is an attempt to pull your attention back into alignment. You get what I'm saying? Back into alignment. You feel me though? Look, escalation is not anger, y'all. I need y'all to hear that. Okay? It's fear of irrelevance. Okay? Escalation is not anger. Okay? See, it's fear of irrelevance. Here's something most people miss. Narcissistic rage is not driven by hatred. It's driven by loss of psychological impact. When you start reacting the same, your nervous system stops feeding the system. So escalation happens to restore intensity. Intensity equals relevance. That's why escalation often targets your identity, your character, your sanity, your reputation. The system is trying to reestablish dominance over your self perception. Okay? If it can't define you, it can still orient you. Disappearance is a strategic withdrawal, okay? Not closure. Alright? Don't forget that. Disappearance is often misunderstood as strength. It's not. It's it's like relocation, y'all. You hear me? It's relocation. When the system senses it cannot regain orientation or leverage, it withdraws to conserve energy. It withdraws to conserve energy. But here's the part nobody talk about. Disappearance does not mean you are forgotten. It means you are archived. We archive you. You hear me? You remain a reference point. That's why narcissists resurface months or years later. Not because of lodging, no. But because the system checks old access points when regulation is low. Now I'm going to tell you why most people enter the system. Okay? See, this is critical, y'all. Most people re-enter because they misinterpret system behavior as emotional truth. They think return equals love. They think escalation equals passion. They think disappearance equals rejection. So they respond emotionally. You hear me? They respond emotionally, and emotion is access. Access restabilize the system, which is why the cycle restarts. Okay? Now, I'm going to give y'all the real exit point that nobody teaches y'all. You do not exit by blocking first. You do not exit by blocking first, okay? You exit by disengaging internally. Externally, cutting someone off without internal reinterioration keeps the system alive because you're still facing it. True exit happens when the system can no longer locate you psychologically. When your reactions stop feeding prediction, when your identity is no longer shaped in opposition to it, okay? That's when the system lose interest. Not dramatically or quietly, okay? Now, if you ever wondered why they came back right after you were getting better, or why things got worse when you stopped caring, it's because the system felt you leaving before you did, okay? In the next chapter, I'm going to break down the exact mistake people make that pulls them back in even after they think they done. Y'all want this chapter? Put a Christmas tree. Took it to Miami. Make sure y'all tap that screen, y'all. Don't stop tapping. Let's get 50K, you hear? Go crazy. We need 50 on Hundo, you hear me? Now, share the live, repost this. Make sure y'all get y'all daily heartbeat, man. If y'all send a daily heart, get y'all daily heartbeat because it helps y'all get monetized too. It can help y'all for the people that want to get paid on TikTok and shit like that. Tap the screen, repost. That all helps you. You get points and shit like that. All right. Now we gonna start chapter 2. Now chapter 2 is the invisible door you keep leaving open and why the system walks back in. Okay. Here's the uncomfortable truth, y'all. Most people do not enter the narcissistic system because of love. They re-enter because of identity gaps. Okay? You think you're leaving a person, but what you're actually trying to leave is a role that you were conditioned into. And until that role dissolves, the system still has access. Let me explain from the inside the system, okay? See, the role you were assigned, y'all. Every narcissistic dynamic assigns you a function, not consciously, structurally. You are not just a partner, a friend, a child, or supply. You are one of these roles: the regulator, the validator, the mirror, the container, the fixer, the stabilizer, the emotional translator. Your role determines how the system organizes itself. Now here's the part nobody gonna tell you. When you leave, the system doesn't look for you. Okay, when you leave, the system doesn't look for you. It looks for the role to be filled. And if you haven't dismantled the role internally, you're still compatible. You get what I'm saying? That's the invisible door. You feel me? I'm about to tell y'all why healing can actually pull you back. See, this part confuses people. See, they say, I was healing. I was doing better. Why did they come back? Because your healing changed the quality of your attention, not the direction. You stopped begging. You stopped chasing. You stopped collapsing. But you were still oriented towards the system. You were healing from it instead of away from it. That still keeps the system psychologically central. You know what I'm saying? From inside a narcissistic structure, that looks like this. She's still processing me. He's still defining himself against me. That is still relevance, okay? So the system tests a text, a memory, a crisis, a soft apology, a provocation, just enough to see if that role still activates. You feel me? Listen, this is the biggest exit mistake. Self-explanation, okay? That is the trap. This is the trap. People think clarity protects them, so they explain. They explain their boundaries. They explain their growth. They explain their pain. They explain their awareness. From the inside the system, explanation equals access. When you explain to me that equals you, it's like you telling me I still got access to control you, because explanation means you still want to be understood, and wanting to be understood means you still care how the system sees you. That keeps the door open, okay? Now I'm gonna tell y'all why no contact fails for most people. See, no contact is not silence. No contact is orientation removal. You can block someone and still be fully in the system, thinking about what they think, wondering if they regret, waiting for validation through absence. That's still engagement, y'all. The system does not need your presence, it needs your reference. And as long as you reference it internally, guess what? It exists, okay? Now, escalation happens when the role malfunctions, okay? Here's another layer people don't hear. See, escalation doesn't happen because you're strong. It happens because your role is manufacturing. You're no longer regulating the system the way you used to. You're not soothing. You're not fixing. You're not absorbing blame. So the system destabilizes, okay? Escalation is an attempt to force the role back online. That's why it feels chaotic. The system is trying to shock you into re-enter and function, okay? Don't forget that. The real exit is road death, y'all. This is where most people fall. Road death. This is where most people fail. You don't exit by becoming stronger. You exit by letting the road die. That means accepting something brutal. You were useful to the system, and that usefulness felt like love. You hear me? You were useful to the system, and that usefulness felt like love. Until you grieve that role, the role, you will unconsciously protect it. You feel me? That's why it's dangerous. Y'all hear what I said? Until you grieve the role, you will unconsciously protect it, and the system will find you again. I promise you, it's gonna find you again. Okay? Now this is how to close the door for real. See, here's the shift. You stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, who was I being required to be? And then you dismantle that identity. Not with anger, with neutrality. When the role collapses, the system has nothing to attach to, okay? No escalation, no return, no disappearance drama, okay? Just irrelevance. That's the real exit, okay? Now look, if they keep coming back, escalating or vanishing, it's because the role you play is still alive inside you. In the next chapter, I'm going to break down, like a Christmas tree, why narcissists often return stronger after silence, and how that's tied to unfinished identity contracts. Y'all want that chapter? Well, that's chapter 3. Put a Christmas tree. I could have did it by myself, yeah. Nervous system. Yeah, it get like that. Y'all can hear me, YouTube? Straight. I love you, Queen. Am I selling this book? This masterclass? Yeah, y'all could get this masterclass in the community, the school community. If y'all want to buy this separately, just message me. But you get it for free in the school community. Shit, all these shits be in the community. There's so much guides and books in there, bro. This is nothing. All right. Have I overcame this? Hell no. I'm still battling. 5 years of my healing journey. Every day a battle. Every day. You feel me? I control my darkness though. Like I'm not manipulating people. It's just I still go through withdrawals and shit like that. You feel me? All right, yo, this chapter 3 though. It says, yeah, this chapter is uncomfortable. Okay, this is where people either wake up or emotionally relapse. Okay, why narcissists come back stronger after silence and why it feels like fate. Okay, here is something nobody tells you. Okay, when a narcissist disappears, they're not gone, y'all. They're reorganizing the system. Okay, listen, they're literally reorganizing the system. Silence is not absence. Silence is recalibration. And if you don't understand what's happening during that silence, the return will feel supernatural. Like timing, like destiny. Like, damn, they felt my energy. That's not what happened. Let me break it down like a Christmas tree from the inside of the system. What silence actually does for a narcissist, okay? Silence does three things, like, simultaneously. You hear me? This is what it does. Number one, it withdraws stimulation. Number two, it tests attachment integrity. Number three, it allows fantasy inflation. See, during silence, the narcissist is watching internally, not your posts, not your stories, your pattern. Are you destabilized? Are you angry? Are you waiting? Are you rebuilding in a way that still reinforces them? See, they don't need access to know. The system already trained you. See, the fantasy phase, y'all. This is the dangerous part, the fantasy phase. Here's the part people don't talk about. During silence, narcissists don't miss you. They miss the version of themselves they were while controlling you. That version grows in fantasy. They rewrite history internally. They say, I wasn't that bad. They overreacted. I was actually the best thing that happened to them. See, the longer the silence, the more inflated the internal narrative becomes, okay? Fantasy, you feel me? The fantasy phase. So when they return, they don't return as the same person. They return more entitled, okay? That's why the energy feels different, colder, sharper, more confident. You think they healed, they didn't. They rehearse. They rehearse. I'm gonna tell you why the return feels stronger than before, y'all. This is critical. They come back stronger because you didn't reset the power structure. Silence without internal restructuring benefits the narcissist, y'all. Why? Because your nervous system was still processing them while theirs was rehearsing control. You were grieving, they were refining strategy. That's why the return feels like whiplash. You're raw, they rehearse. You get what I'm saying? Now I'm about to tell you the invisible contract you never canceled. This is the invisible contract that you never canceled. Here's the psychological contract most people don't know exists. At some point, you agreed to be the one who understands. You agreed to be the one who forgives, the one who waits, the one who knows who they really are. That agreement doesn't dissolve with silence, it dissolves with identity replacement. Okay? Until you replace the version of yourself that accepted that role, the contract is still active. And the system will attempt collection. Now I'm about to tell you why moving on triggers a return, y'all. This part messes people up. See, they say, I moved on, and then they come back. Yes, because moving on externally doesn't equal detachment internally. From inside the narcissistic system, your movement signals resource and transition. That triggers a return not out of love, but ownership anxiety. They don't want you. They don't want you to be free. Huge difference. You hear me? They don't want you. They don't want you free. Huge difference. Now I'm about to tell you why the return often feels calm, apologetic, or spiritual. Okay? See, this is the evolved entry point. Chaos didn't work before, so now they come as enlightened, as calm, as regretful, as soft, as self-aware. Not because they change, but because your defense All your defenses adapted. You feel me? That is not growth, y'all. That is a counter adaptation. Got to counter adapt. You feel me? They learned how to bypass the version of you that left. Now, how to stop the stronger return for good. See, you don't block harder. You don't explain better. You you collapse the fantasy. Here's how. You stop being impressed by insight. You stop rewarding awareness. You stop engaging in emotional postmortems. Because from the inside the system, your emotional processing is still participation. See, the only thing that ends the return is non relevance. Not indifference, non relevance. Okay? At this point. See, they didn't come back because they changed. They came back because the contract you signed still exists. In the next chapter, I'm going to break down why escalation happens when the return fails and how the system turns hostile when control is denied, okay? Y'all ready for chapter 4? Put the Christmas, put the right tree too, man, no cap. Y'all gotta put the right tree. I be tripping for real. Y'all better have that right Christmas tree in y'all fucking emojis, man. It should be in y'all recent emojis. The Christmas tree, not the green tree. The Christmas. You feel me? Some of y'all be putting the wrong trees. That don't regulate my nervous system. Like if y'all put the wrong tree, that don't regulate my nervous system. No cap. My sis, I need to be regulated, bro. All right, now look, let's get it. This is chapter 4, okay? Why narcissists escalate when the return fails and why it turns ugly fast, okay? Listen, y'all. We talk about the system. Like, we talk about the system. When you with a narcissist, it's not a relationship, it's a system. Psychology. You feel me? This is chapter 4, y'all. Why narcissists escalate when the return fails, okay? You feel me? And why it turns ugly real fast. We almost at 50K. Keep tapping the screen. Now, this is the chapter most people never see coming because they think if I don't respond, they'll eventually give up. That's not how the system works, okay? When a narcissist returns and fails to re-enter, the system does not shut down. It mutates. And escalation is not emotional, it's structural. Let me explain from the inside out. I'm going to break this down like a Christmas tree. Okay? See, what escalation actually is. Escalation is not rage. Escalation is loss of narrative control. When a narcissist cannot reestablish influence through charm, you know what I'm saying? Through charm, remorse, or calm presence, the system moves to its next phase, and that's called force relevance. That force can look like this: guilt trips, guilt campaigns, sudden anger, financial pressure, legal threats, playing the victim, concern about your mental health, rewriting history publicly. Not because they're hurt, it's because the system cannot tolerate being erased. Now I'm about to tell you why ignoring them makes it worse at first. Here's the truth nobody tell you. Silence is not neutral to a narcissist. Silence is interpreted as defiance. Okay? From the inside the system, silence says you no longer exist as authority. That's what it tells us. That's an existential threat. Like, that's a real threat. So escalation is not about punish you. It's about reestablishing hierarchy, the dynamic. The moment they realize you're not coming back, y'all, listen, I'm about to tell y'all. The moment they realize you're not coming back, this is a very specific moment. You don't see it, you don't feel it, but inside them, it clicks. You're not confused anymore. That's when escalation begins. Because confusion is control and clarity is rebellion. And I'm about to tell you why they go for your reputation. This why they go for your reputation, okay? See, this part is surgical. If they can't access you privately, they will access you symbolically. They attack how others see you. Why? Because identity controls the deepest layer of the system. If they can destabilize your social reflection, they can destabilize you. That's why smears feel so personal. They're not random, y'all. They're targeted memory warfare. Smear campaigns are targeted memory warfare, y'all. Now I'm about to tell you why they suddenly care about your well-being. Now, why they suddenly care about your well-being? See, watch this one carefully, y'all. Okay, when narcissists escalate covertly, they often use concern. They say, "I'm worried about you." They're not themselves. I just want them to get help. That's not compassion. This is delegated control. If they can't control you directly, they attempt to control how others interpret your alimony. You know what I'm saying? That escalation, that's like escalation in the suit style, okay? Basically, we try to do that shit, okay? Now I'm about to tell why you feel guilty during escalating, okay? This is important. Escalation activates the trauma bond. Why? Because your nervous system was trained to regulate them. So when they escalate, your body says fix it. That urge is not love, y'all. That's conditioning. Condition you this way. You feel me? And if you respond from guilt, the system reopens. The biggest mistake people make here is they try to prove something. They explain. They defend. They clarify. From the inside system, explanation equals engagement. Engagement equals leverage. You think you're closing the door, you're actually opening room for it. Okay? This is how escalation ends, though. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all. Not by confrontation, not by justice. Escalation ends when the narcissist realizes you are no longer reactive enough to reorganize. Not cold, y'all. Not cruel, just structurally unavailable. No emotional entry points, no narrative negotiation, no identity debate. You hear me? Escalation is what happens when control fails and relevance is threatened. In the next chapter, I'm going to explain why narcissists disappear entirely instead of escalating, and why that disappearance is not peace, y'all. You ready for that? For the Christmas tree. Took it to Miami. I love Miami. You don't want to go no more. She don't want to go no more. Let me take a hit of my Christmas tree, y'all. Give me a second. We on chapter 5. I think we got like a couple more chapters, but y'all need to hear this. It's about to get real dark. Tap that screen for me. Give me a second. Hey y'all, how y'all enjoying the masterclass? Give me a 1 through 10. Be honest. Y'all know we don't sugarcoat here. 1 through 10. Rate it. Damn, y'all saying 10,000? Oh, y'all liking it? Y'all fucking with it? I don't be feeling like I know like the nod I give is good, but it's like I got way better stuff than this. So it's like what the fuck? This light to me, y'all. Like the stuff I got for y'all to hear, the stuff I want to expose, bro. This is light. Like this is nothing for real. Like I know the stuff is good that we talk about, but this shit is nothing compared to what we got. You know what I mean? This like surface level stuff to me for real. Like this surface level to me for real. But I appreciate y'all for real though. Shout out to the ones learning. This is good knowledge. But if you didn't know this, but this gonna level you up. Never. It's levels to this shit, man. You definitely ahead of the average empath. I could tell you that. You feel me? No cap. How you go deeper? Just walk with me, man. Y'all need to come to my school community. That's where it get deep. These nothing for it, man. Cat link in my bio. Join the school community. I get way better information about narcissism. That's where the real shit at. Now, y'all, this is chapter 5, y'all. This chapter is quiet but lethal, okay? Why some narcissists disappear instead of escalating, and why that's not healing, okay? Y'all ready? Put a Christmas tree. I'm about to get into it. Can y'all hear me? Hold on. Somebody said they can't hear me. We good? Alright, bet. Let's go. Chapter 5, y'all. Why some narcissists disappear instead of escalating, and why that's not healing, okay? This is where people misread the situation and blame themselves. They say he just vanished. She moved on like nothing happened, or they replaced me so fast. See, and the assumption becomes I didn't matter. That assumption is wrong, y'all. Disappearance is not peace. It's a strategic withdrawal, okay? Let me take you inside the system, okay? Walk with me. See, disappearance is a calculation, not a loss of feeling. When a narcissist disappears, it's because the system has run an internal assessment. The assessment asks one question: can I still extract regulation here at a reasonable cost? If the answer is no, the system pulls resources. That's disappearance, not grief, not acceptance, not growth, okay? Cost analyst. Escalation costs energy. Smearing costs attention. Return requires finesse. If you are no longer predictable, no longer reactive, and no longer validated, the system reallocates. You know what I'm saying? That's not indifference. That's efficiency. You hear me? If you are no longer predictable, no longer reactive, and no longer validating, the system reallocates. Okay? That's not indifference. That's efficiency. I'm going to tell you why disappearance feels so violent to you, okay? This is important. Disappearance hurts more than escalation for many people because it attacks something deeper than emotion. It attacks meaning. Escalation keeps you relevant. Return keeps you chosen. And disappearance makes you question your reality. So your mind goes to, was any of it real? Did I imagine a bond? Was I replaceable? See, that confusion is not accidental, y'all. It's the aftershock of a system that never bonded the way you did. You get what I'm saying? Replacement is not connection, okay? When a narcissist disappears into someone that new, people assume the new person is better. No, they're not. They're just easier. Easier in the cycle. Easier in conditioning. Easier in role assignment. What you're seeing is novelty, not intimacy. The system is resetting, y'all, not healing, okay? That's what I meant. Okay? And here's the part nobody want to hear. Replacement doesn't erase you. It postpones self-confrontation. It postpones self-confrontation. That's why narcissists resurface later, like years later. Not because they miss you. It's because the system ran out of fuel elsewhere. Okay? This is why disappearance is sometimes the most dangerous phase. This sounds counterintuitive, but listen, y'all. When a narcissist disappears, you are finally free structurally. But emotionally, many people break here. Why? Because there's no villain to push against, no chaos to react to, no drama to process, just silence. And y'all know silence forces you to face the part of you that was shaped by the system. That's when the grief hits. Not grief for them, grief for who you became. And many people mistake that grief for longing. So they reopen the bond themselves. A message. A check in. You feel me? A memory share. A question. And the system comes back online. Why you should never This is why you should never chase disappearance, okay? Chasing disappearance doesn't restore dignity. It confirms relevance. From that system, okay, y'all hear me? From inside the system, chasing says, I still locate meaning through you. That reactivates return or escalation, and the cycle restarts, okay? The clearest exits often happen during disappearance, y'all, but only if you do not try to understand it emotionally, okay? See, disappearance does not mean you were unworthy. It means the role you played became inefficient. And that is not an indictment of your value. It is evidence of how transactional the system was. Once you stop personalizing disappearance, something shifts. You stop saying, why wasn't I enough? And start asking, what role was I fulfilling? That question restores power, okay? See, disappearance is not closure. It is a system conserving energy, y'all. In the next chapter, I'm going to explain the exact moment the narcissistic system collapses and why most people accidentally revive it. Okay? If y'all ready for that, put a Christmas tree. Chapter 6, I believe. Took it to Miami. It's not for the week. Heard up. Took it to Miami. Alright, y'all. This is chapter 6. The exact moment the system collapses and how most people revive it without knowing. You feel me? See, I'm gonna say this. You feel me? YouTube, y'all can hear me? Alright. This chapter answers a question people don't even know how to ask, okay? If narcissistic systems are so fragile, why do they keep surviving? Because collapse is rare, not because narcissists are strong, but because most people interpret the collapse themselves. Y'all, I'm gonna explain. You feel me? Most people interpret the collapse themselves. Like, it's crazy. Hold on. No cap. Took it to Miami. Hold on, let me get something to drink, bro. We on chapter 6. I got something to drink. I love Miami. She don't wanna go no more. She don't wanna go. Time change. Time change. Mm-hmm. I do whatever for your love. It ain't no leaving me. Alright, y'all. Took it to Miami. She loved Miami. She don't want to go no more, bro. Feel me? She tired of Miami. Y'all ready? Alright. Let's lock in, y'all. She don't want to go no more. Alright, y'all. This chapter, like I said, answers A question people don't even know how to ask. Alright, if a narcissist systems are so fragile, why do they keep surviving? Because collapse is rare, y'all. Not because narcissists are strong, but because people interrupt the collapse themselves. Let me explain, okay? Let me explain. Alright, what collapse actually is, y'all, and what it is not. A collapse is not a breakdown. It is not crying. It's not rage. It's not regret. It's not missing you. Collapse is loss of internal coherence, okay? It happens when a narcissistic system can no longer extract regulation, maintain narrative dominance, secure emotional relevance, and replace fast enough. Collapse feels like internal free fall, no identity anchor, no orientation, no reflective surface. That's why collapse is terrifying, and that's why the system avoids it at all costs. You feel me? The moment collapse begins, y'all. Listen, this is the moment collapse begins. I'm telling y'all. Okay? Collapse does not start when you leave, it starts when nothing works anymore. Return fails, escalation fails, disappearance doesn't bring relief. And most importantly, you stop responding in ways that make sense to the system. Not cold, not angry, not performative, just neutral, grounded, and unimpressed. That's when the system loses its map. And without a map, narcissistic identity destabilizes, okay? Now, I'm about to tell y'all why most people never see real collapse. See, you rarely witness collapse because you are removed from the system when it happens. Collapse is private. Public collapse will require accountability. It will require shame. It will require exposure without control. So instead, you see sudden spirituality, sudden humility, sudden therapy talk, sudden self awareness language, sudden victim narratives. These are repair strategies, y'all. They repair strategies, not collapse. Collapse is silent, okay? And deeply uncomfortable. This is how people accidentally revive the system, y'all. This is how you actually accidentally revive the system. See, right as collapse begins, many people feel like something shift. They sense weakness. They sense vulnerability. They sense this is my moment and they reach out. You feel me? They reach out to check. I want to say this again. I want y'all to hear me, man. Like I said, this part matter, y'all. Right as the collapse begins, many people feel something shift. They sense weakness. They sense vulnerability. They sense this is my moment and they reach out to check, to help, to explain, to get closure, to be compassionate. The moment right there, that moment revives the system because compassion without boundaries become regulation. You think you're being human. No, you think you're being human, humane, whatever you want to call it. From the inside the system, you just became the stabilizer again, okay? Collapse. I'm telling you, collapse aborted. You feel me? Collapse aborted. You feel me? Now, why being a bigger person keeps you trapped, okay? This one hurts. People who are empathetic, spiritual, or emotionally intelligent often pride themselves on grace, y'all. But grace offered inside a narcissistic system is not healing, okay? It is fuel because the system does not experience grace as connection. It experiences it as permission to continue existing. True compassion happens after detachment, not during collapse, okay? What let it collapse completely looks like. Letting collapse complete means no explanation, no rescue, no processing together, no emotional caretaking, no narrative repair. It means allowing the system to face itself without you. That feels cruel to conditioned people, but it's not cruelty. It's withdrawal of function. And withdrawal of function is the only thing that ends the system. You get what I'm saying? Now I'm about to tell what happens after collapse. Here's the part people don't expect. Collapse does not turn into, like, they don't turn a narcissist into victim, to villains, I'm gonna say, my bad. Like, collapse does not turn narcissists into villains. It turns them into irrelevant figures in your life. They fade. They move on. They attack someone elsewhere. They stop orbiting. Because without regulation, the system cannot fixate. It can't function, okay? And you don't feel victorious. You feel lighter, less pulled, less reactive, less concerned. That's freedom. You know what I'm saying? See, collapse doesn't need you to watch it. It needs you to not interrupt it. Okay? In the next chapter, I'm going to explain why indifference is misunderstood and how to become unreachable without becoming cold. Y'all ready for 7? Put a Christmas tree. Yeah, 7. Took it to Miami. Listen, listen, listen. I love Miami. Make sure y'all tap the screen. Let's get 100K. We got 60. Y'all got us to 60. Damn, I'm proud of y'all. For real, appreciate y'all. Y'all was tapping. God damn. Y'all went crazy this live. Okay. You said, can you heal if you've been with a nurse for 5 years? Yeah, you can heal if you've been with a nurse for 5 years. You could heal. It would take time, but you definitely can do it. You feel me? Miami. I want to go to Miami. She don't want to go no more. Alright, y'all. This is chapter 7. Okay, y'all ready? Chapter 7. Why indifference is misunderstood and how to become unreachable without turning cold. Okay? That's what this one about. Now, see, most people think indifference means not caring. Okay? That's why they fail at it. They try to act indifferent while their nervous system is still engaged. Okay? That's not indifference, that's suppression. And suppression keeps the system alive. Let me explain the difference, okay? See, listen. This is what indifference is not. Indifference is not silence while obsession. Indifference is not blocking while monitoring. Indifference is not pretending you don't care while waiting for a reaction, okay? Those are all engagement strategies in disguise. From inside a narcissistic system, y'all, that energy is still readable, still relevant, and still accessible. So this is what true indifference actually is. Indifference is a structural shift, not an emotional posture. It's when your nervous system no longer registers the narcissist as a reference point. They are no longer a mirror. They are no longer a regulator. They are no longer a threat. They are no longer a prize. They are no longer a problem to solve. They become information. Okay? Data without charge. And narcissistic systems cannot attach to neutrality. They attach to polarity, love or hate, anger or logic, admiration or disgust. Indifference removes polarity. They can't do none of that shit. That's why it works, okay? You feel me? She don't wanna go no more. Listen, y'all. Why people turn cold instead of, you feel me? And why it backfires. This. Why people turn cold instead and why it backfires. Here's the trap. People confuse indifference with detachment through force. They harden, they shut down, they become emotionally rigid, okay? From the system perspective, coldness is still a reaction, okay? It still says you matter enough to defend against. That invites escalation. Coldness provokes, indifference erases. Huge difference, okay? The internal shift that makes you unreachable, y'all. This is the internal shift that makes you unreachable right here. This is the key. See, you stop asking, what does this mean about me? And start asking, what does this tell me about the system? That shift removes personalization, okay? And personalization is the hook. When behavior stops being about your worth, your healing, or your story, the system loses grip. Because narcissistic systems need you to locate identity through them. Once you don't, access collapses. This how to do practical, real indifference, okay? I'm about to tell y'all, this how you do it. This how you really practice it. Practice real indifference, okay? This is practical, y'all, not poetic, okay? Real indifference looks like this. No urgency to clarify. No desire to be understood. No need to correct the narrative. No curiosity about their motives. And no internal rehearsal of conversations. Your body stays neutral. Your mind stays quiet, not numb, unengaged. Okay? This is why indifference feels empty at first. People panic here. They say, I feel nothing. I feel flat. I feel disconnected. That's not loss. That's deconditioning, okay? Deconditioning. Your nervous system was trained to feel alive through intensity, okay? Indifference removes stimulation. So the absence feels strange. But the strange does not mean wrong. It means your system is recalibrating, okay? What happens to a narcissist at this age, y'all? At this stage that I'm explaining, this will happen. This is important. When indifference is real, the narcissist doesn't feel rejected. They feel irrelevant. And irrelevance is intolerable. Not because they want you, it's because without impact, they cannot stabilize, okay? So they stop. Not dramatically, quietly. They move on. They relocate. They fade. Not healed, just unable to attach. You get what I'm saying? Oh, they do. Listen, y'all. This is the final trap to avoid, okay? Do not announce indifference. Do not perform healing. Do not significant detachment. You feel me? Don't signal detachment. Signals are still communication, okay? Indifference is not communicated. It is felt in absence, okay? Indifference isn't about not caring. It's about not organizing yourself around them anymore, okay? In this chapter, in this next chapter, in the final chapter, okay? I'm going to show you how to exit the system permanently without becoming guarded, bitter, or small, okay? Y'all ready for chapter 8? Put a Christmas tree. Took it to Miami. Listen, listen, listen. Ah, she don't wanna go no more. And just leveled up. You say you here to listen? You don't gotta be here, sweetie. They here to learn. You feel me? They got their notes, everything ready. You feel me? No cap. Now look, this is how to exit the system permanently without becoming guarded, bitter, or small, y'all. Listen. This chapter corrects the last mistake people make, okay? You feel me? That's what to do. No cap, y'all. This chapter corrects the last mistake people make, okay? They think leaving the narcissistic system requires hardening. It doesn't, y'all. Hardening is still a reaction to the system. The real exit is reorientation, okay? Let me explain what that means. Reorientation. The difference between escape and exit. Most people escape, y'all. They block. They cut contact. They leave the environment. But internally, they're still facing the system. They're still measuring themselves against it. They still rehearsing, conversations. They still proving growth. They still monitor outcome. They're still hoping to be seen. You know what I'm saying? That's you know what I'm saying? That's escape, y'all. Okay? Now, exit is different. Exit happens when your identity is no longer organized in relation to the system, not against it, not beyond it, not above it, outside it. Okay? If y'all want questions answered, yeah, book a 1-on-1. Okay? If y'all really want to heal, I'll help you for sure. That's what I'm here for. But we in class right now, okay? Like I said, I want to say that I want y'all to really hear this though, for real. Like, hear this. The difference between escape and exit. Most people escape. They block. They cut contact. They leave the environment, but internally, they're still facing the system. They're still measuring themselves against it, rehearsing conversations, proving growth, monitoring outcomes, hoping to be seen. You get what I'm saying? That's escape, y'all. Exit is different than escape, okay? Exit happens when your identity is no longer organized in relation to the system, not against it, not beyond it, not above it, outside of it. You hear me? The final layer of control, you have it named, okay? Look, here's the layer nobody talked about. The last thing the system controls is your sense of meaning. It trains you to believe suffering equals depth, intensity equals connection, endurance equals love, and understanding equals closeness. So when you leave, you feel empty, not because you lost love, but because you lost a meaning engine. That's why people feel lost after freedom. They don't know how to generate meaning without drama. The exit requires rebuilding meaning internally, okay? This is how you actually reclaim your identity, okay? Identity doesn't come back through analysts, okay? It comes back through choice without justification. You start doing things because you want to, not because they prove healing, not because they signal strength, and not because they counter the past. It's just because they align. You're moving in with alignment, okay? That's when the system truly dissolves, okay? You feel me? Because narcissistic systems, they need opposition to stay alive, y'all. Alignment starves them, okay? Alignment starves them. This is why you don't need closure. I'm about to tell you why you don't need closure. Closure is a concept designed for mutual systems. This wasn't a mutual system. Seeking closure assumes the other person can validate reality. They can't. The moment you stop asking someone who distorted meaning to explain meaning, you exit. Not angrily, cleanly. Look, this is the moment you know you're free. Freedom doesn't feel dramatic, it feels boring. You stop checking, you stop wondering, you stop waiting, you stop rehearsing. They become a footnote, not a chapter, okay? And that's how you know the system is done. Not when they stop contacting you, when you stop locating yourself through them. Okay, this is what happens to them after you exit. This is important, y'all. Okay, they don't lose, they don't learn, and they don't wake up. They move on to systems that still function, and that's okay because your healing was never about changing them. Okay, it was about ending your participation. You weren't chosen because you were weak. You were chosen because you were adaptive, perceptive, and capable of carrying weight. The work now is not to erase those traits. It's to use them without self-abandonment. That's power. It's quiet power, unreachable power. See, you don't win by being indifferent. You win by becoming oriented to yourself again, okay? No anger, no explanation, no performance. Just alignment, okay? You feel me? We need somebody to regulate our nervous system. Man, I'm gonna land this properly. Everything I just taught you tonight wasn't about them, okay? It was about ending your participation in the system that trains you to abandon yourself. You don't heal by proving anything. You don't heal by understanding them more. You don't heal by being stronger in front of them. You heal when your nervous system is no longer organized around chaos. I'm not here to save you. I'm not here to convince you, okay? I'm here to give language to what your body already knew. And if this lesson named something you felt but couldn't explain, that's not a coincidence, y'all. That's recognition. For those of you who want structure instead of spiraling, who want to rebuild identity without becoming cold, who want to exit systems cleanly and permanently, that's what I built CTU for, y'all. Link in my bio, okay? And I'm doing $20 calls today if you want to talk to me. $20 one-on-one clarity calls, okay? I'll be on the phone all day today, y'all. No cap. I hope y'all enjoyed the master classes. You feel me? They will be in the school community. I love y'all. Remember, it's a system, not relationship. Okay? Don't let nobody say it's a relationship. That's misleading them. You feel me? No cap.